Hi everyone, I'm Tovah and welcome to today's practice. Today's class is all about breathing. So we're going to start by moving through a very gentle flow class where we focus on deep methodical breaths and just bringing a little bit more awareness to your breathing. Often it's something that people rush through. And at the end of practice, we're going to cool things down with some alternate nostril breathing. Standing tall at the top of your mat to start. As we begin the practice, focusing on our breath. Maybe turning your palms towards the front of your mat, opening up through the chest and shoulders, giving your breathing muscles a little bit more room to move. And as you focus on your breath, focus on a 360-degree breath around your entire torso. Not just in the belly, not just in the chest. Aim to lengthen your breath, increasing the length of your inhales, and then trying to find your exhale, getting your exhale to match the length of the inhale. Taking deep, full inhales and deep, full exhales. And our breath helping to rid our body of toxins. Breathing deep helps to reduce stress and to switch our nervous system to the more rest and digest place where everything starts to calm down just a little bit more. Bringing your hands to your heart. Continuing to breathe. Really setting an intention and your focus on your breath for today's practice. Noticing if your breath starts to increase in pace, if it becomes shallow, or if it's just not something we're that mindful about, bringing more mindfulness towards our breath. Let's begin the practice with a few slow sun salutations, releasing the palms. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead, and exhale as you swan dive forward, bow your head. Inhale as you lift partway up, reaching for your mat, hopping or stepping back to a plank. From knees or from toes, lowering to the mat. Turn the toes under and peel from the floor, finding a nice cobra, or taking upward facing dog if you prefer. Releasing, pressing up and back to downward facing dog. Draw your belly button in and up towards your heart. Soften your knees. Shift your hips back and up. As you release your neck, allow your neck to hang long and loose here, like your ear can touch your arm bone if you just gently tip your head to the side. Breathe. Looking to your hands, stepping there. Soften your knees as you bow your head, relax. And inhale as you sweep to come all the way back to the top. Maybe back bending if it pleases your body. Exhale as we take a second sun sal, lowering. Inhale as you look and reach forward. Release and reach for your mat, stepping back to a high push-up, melting down elbows squeezed by the ribs. Turn the toes in, inhale, peel from the floor, and exhale, release, press to downward dog. Feet a little bit apart here. Knees can stay soft, maybe pedaling your feet a few times, just releasing some tension along the posterior chain. Loosen up the calves a little bit more. As we settle back in, remember your breath. Look to your hands stepping there. Exhale, fold, soften. Inhale, swoop to come all the way high. Big energizing breath. And then exhale as you push that full breath out, folding back down. Inhale, lift a little. Exhale as you move towards the floor, lowering through chaturanga. Inhale, one vertebrae at a time as you come to a nice, gentle back bend. Release the spine, pressing up nice and strong as you come into downward dog. Sending the hips way back. Look to your hands, stepping or hopping there. Exhale, fold a little farther forward. Bow your head. Inhale, big breath, reach high. Draw your hands down to your heart. And just breathing here. Spending a little bit of extra time working on our breath today. That is the focus of today's practice. Perfect. As we move through a little bit of a flow here, stepping back into high lunge with your right leg coming back, reach your arms up overhead. Folding forward, reaching for your mat, or you could also reach for a block on the floor here. Plant your right hand as you sweep and reach with your left hand around towards your back foot. As you reach towards your back foot, open your hips and let yourself rotate here. This might mean that you're on the pinky toe side of your back foot. Perfect. Pivot back to the center as you walk your hands towards your back foot now, coming into a side lunge at the back of your mat. So your left leg is straight and your right is bent. Pivoting back as you walk towards the front of your mat, spin to face forward so toes and knees are both forward. Plant your hands on the floor and step back to a plank as we take a vinyasa here from knees or toes lower down to the floor. Turn the toes in, inhale, back bend, lift your chin, lift your eyes. Release and press up and back, downward dog. Inhale, eyes, look to hands, step forward. Exhale, release your spine, fold. Inhale, strong breath all the way to the top. Bring your hands back to heart center. Stepping back with the left leg, coming into that high lunge position. Fold forward for your mat, planting your left hand and reaching and sweeping with your right hand as your front knee rolls open. You maybe move on to pinky toe side of both feet. Come back to the center as you start to pivot and walk towards your back foot, coming into that low side lunge position. Left knee is bending this time. Walking along your mat, make your way back to facing forward. Plant your hands as we take that vinyasa here, lowering down. Turn the toes and lift. Shine your heart ahead. Release, pressing to downward dog. Lifting strong, breathing deep. Eyes look to hands as you inhale, step forward. Exhale, release your breath. Inhale, big strong breath, come all the way high as you bring your hands to heart. And here we breathe. Bringing your body back to that deep, strong breath that we started with if you've lost it. Quieting and calming your mind. Wonderful. Take a long step back with your right leg, turning it about halfway flat to the back of your mat. So the toes are going to come partway forward. Rotate your hips all the way to the front so your hip points are pointing forward. As you bend your front knee, reach your arms up overhead. If you feel any pain in your knees, or if your hips can't twist all the way around, that means you need to turn the back toes more towards the front of your mat. As you lift your arms, extend like you're holding something heavy above your head. And this might be wider arms, medium, hands might be right together. Find the place that feels comfortable for your shoulders, for your back, and where you can straighten your arms. Bring your hands down to heart. Step back to the top of your mat. Stepping back with the left leg, coming into the same position, Warrior 1 or Virabhadrasana 1. Arms lift, maybe eyes look up to the ceiling if your balance feels steady. If it feels a little bit wobbly today, look forward or look downward, just in front of you, a few feet ahead towards the floor for steadiness. Bring your hands back to heart. Step back to the top of your mat. Taking one sun salutation here, release the palms, inhale, lift, and exhale, pour to the front. Inhale, lift partway high. Flatten your back as you reach for your mat. Step back to a plank, lower. Turn the toes in, inhale, peel from the floor. Exhale, release, press to downward facing dog. Sitting back into the heels. Eyes look to hands, inhale, step forward. Exhale, fold a little bit deeper. Inhale, big strong breath, come all the way to the top of your mat. As you draw your hands down to your heart, find your breath here. Anytime that you need to take a little reprieve, a little stress break, try just spending several minutes doing this breath, breathing deep, breathing slow. It can be just what your body and your mind needs to reset. Perfect. As we move into our next posture, Warrior 2. Take a long step back with your right foot and turn it flat to the back of your mat. Lining up your heel with about your arch, but where's comfortable for you as you stretch your arms out long. Gaze out over your front fingers, and you can take a quick check to make sure your back arm is straight behind you. Be strong as you look over the front fingers. Maybe bend or soften the front knee a little bit more. Engage your arm muscles here so you're active, you're reaching, you're a warrior. Pressing up, reach your hands above your head and just pivot your feet as you come into Warrior 2 on the opposite side. Now bending the opposite knee, the right knee to come forward. Again, check the back arm, then gaze back over your front fingers. Let your shoulders come down here. Make sure they're not creeping up over your ears, but you're strong, you're breathing. Press back up to straight arms overhead. Bring your hands to heart center. Stepping to the top of your mat, finding your breath here. Taking one sun salutation, release the palms, inhale, swoop up over. Head as you fold forward, cascade over your thighs, bow your head and chin. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, reach for your mat, step back. Lower from knees or toes. Inhale, lift your chest, lift your chin, lift your eyes. Release. Press back to downward dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Sitting back into the heels. Look forward, step forward. Exhale, fold a little deeper. Inhale, big breath, come all the way high. Bring your hands down to your heart. Taking a few extra breaths here. This is also a great place if you needed a little sip of water to grab one and then come back to your deep breathing. Moving on to our next posture, stretching the arms out to your sides like a T. As we begin to shift into Warrior 3 or Virabhadrasana 3, start to slide your right leg back, softening the left knee a little, and slide it all the way back until it has to come off the floor. And then allow your chest to tip forward. Finding balance here, and if your balance is a struggle, you can always bring your back toes to touch. Stretch your arms out, relax your neck here. Engage your muscles, reach with your arms like you're holding on to something. Perfect, stand back to the top. Find your balance, regroup. And if balance is hard for you, don't shy away from the challenge. It's that challenge, that little bit of balance loss, those wiggles, that really help our body to get stronger. Stretch your arms out wide. When you're ready, start to shift the left leg back, soften the right knee. When your knee's soft, your right bum cheek, your glute, can help with this exercise. If your leg is totally straight, you lose all the strength of that big workhorse muscle. Drop your eyes, look towards the floor, stretch your arms wide, push your foot all the way back. Breathe and release, stand tall. Finding your hands at your heart. Taking one sun salutation here, release the palms, inhale, stretch high. And exhale, swan dive down, bow your head. Inhale, lift and lengthen. And exhale as you reach for your mat, step back, melting. Elbow squeeze by your sides as you peel from the floor, one vertebrae at a time. Flatten, come down. Inhale, press from knees or toes, push back, downward facing dog. Inhale, eyes look to hands, step forward. And exhale, release your spine, fold a little deeper. Inhale, big breath, come all the way high. Draw your hands down to your heart. Find your breath here. Breathing deep. As we do a little bit more balance coming into tree pose, moving closer to a wall if you find you need a little bit of balance help, or come near a chair. Starting with our hands at our heart, bring your right leg to lift, and only lift as high as you're comfortable. This is more about you trying to find balance than how high your foot can come to your groin. As well, you're aiming to open through the hips here. So if your leg comes higher, but it brings your knee more forward, that's not a more favorable place for you. So think about opening through the hip as much as you can, and then sliding the foot up to where you can manage. Breathing here. Keeping your hands at your heart, or stretching your arms and growing your tree branches up overhead. Or maybe reach your arms out into a T, especially if balance is a little more of a challenge for you. That can be an option that's helpful. Steady your gaze down your nose towards the floor to help find balance. Perfect. Release, step down. Give your feet a little wiggle. Our feet work very hard when we're balancing. Good, and let's go ahead and do this on the opposite side. And I often like to call it an organic tree, where you just bring your foot to where you can get it to without using your hands to pull it up. Find your balance. Don't worry if you struggle. That's part of the journey. And if your balance feels really strong today, try closing your eyes if you need a little bit more challenge, so that you find a little bit of wiggling, a little bit of fight. Perfect, and step down. Taking one salutation here, release the palms, inhale, stretch high, and exhale, swan dive forward. Soften the knees, bow the head. Inhale, lengthen and lift, and exhale, reach and step back. Lowering back down. Turn the toes, press the toes as you lengthen your back and back leg. Release, press to downward dog. Spread your fingers wide. Try to press all of your knuckles into the mat. Look to your hands, step there. Exhale, relax your back, lower your head. Inhale, big breath, come all the way high. As you bring your hands to your heart, and we find our breath again, focusing on breathing. And focusing on our breath can be a great place to help still our mind. If your mind tends to wander and it needs a focal point to keep it more steady, to keep it from wandering, your breath is a great place to point your focus. Maybe you're saying to yourself, inhale, exhale as you breathe. Maybe it helps you to count your breaths, or even just visualizing the breath as it comes into your body expands. And then as you exhale, things start to go back to their normal place. Or you're imagining a balloon inflating and deflating with each breath. Take your feet now a little wider than shoulder width, wherever they're comfortable. Your toes might naturally want to point a little more towards the corners, a little more towards the front. Please don't overthink this. Wherever your toes naturally go, as long as your knees follow in that same direction, that's the perfect place for you. As we keep our hands at our heart, aim to squat down, coming into malasana, or this low yogic squat. And if this is a challenge for you, you can take a yoga block and tuck it underneath your bum. Make it like a little bench standing on the high end. If your heels don't easily touch the floor, try working with a hockey stick or a book underneath each heel. That will help you to open up the ankle joint and eventually get your heels down to the ground without a struggle. So they might just need a little bit of help at the start. Perfect. And from here, just bring your hands forward. You can make your way out of malasana, coming into kneeling, and when you're ready, finding your way into resting child's pose. Your knees might be more wide, they might prefer to be more together here. As you bring your forehead down to the mat and find your breath here. And this is a great opportunity to turn inwards as our forehead touches the mat. And now slowly coming up from child's pose. And just finding a comfortable place to sit, whether that's kneeling, whether it's sitting cross-legged, maybe stretching your legs out. And please do feel free to move back to standing if sitting is just not something that's that comfortable for you, or you can also sit in a chair here. As we finish today's practice with a little bit more breath work or pranayama, we're moving into alternate nostril breathing. So that's just like it sounds. We're focusing our breath on one nostril, then the other. If you do know this practice, please feel free to start. If you're unsure, I'll give you a quick demonstration and then we'll do it together. So you typically want to use your thumb and your ring finger from one hand, but any combination of fingers will work. You're just going to use one to plug one side and one to plug the other. So I like to think of this breath like going up and down a mountain. So you'll inhale from one side. As you travel up the mountain, the breath comes up one side. Then you plug both sides for a moment, you pause at the top of the mountain. Then you release the opposite side and you exhale the breath out as you come down the mountain. And then you go the opposite way. back up one side, pausing at the top, and then releasing and coming down the bottom. You can do this breath with your eyes open or your eyes closed. And when you're ready, just joining with me. Plugging one nostril as you inhale. Plug both nostrils. Release the opposite side. Exhale the breath. Inhale, big breath through that same nostril. Plug both. Release the opposite side. Exhale. Inhale through the open nostril. Plugging both. Releasing the opposite side. Breathe out. Inhale the same nostril. Plug both and pause. Release the breath through the opposite side. Continuing a few more rounds of this breath on your own pace. As you finish that cycle, coming back to just regular, comfortable breathing. An alternate nostril breath is great for balancing our bodies and our minds. I do hope that you enjoyed today's breath-focused practice. If you do have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new to my channel. And if you really enjoyed today's class, I'd love for you to help support my content creation by clicking the link down below in the description, and you can buy me a cup of coffee. Just a small thanks of gratitude for today's free yoga class. We'll finish with our hands at our heart. The light within me honors the light within you. Namaste.